Hey everyone, welcome. Today's webinar is going to be about taking full control in your hands to tailor your school management system using Soft low-code technology. Our mission as a company is to enable schools to be able to tailor, their school management systems rather than having the school adapt to a specific system out there, having to adapt their processes, the way that their school works, just to make it just to be able to use the school management system. So we are thinking it the other way around. Let's tailor the school management system to the school instead. So on this webinar, we're going to talk a little bit about who we are. We're a team of techie people. We love technology. We have a low code solution that allows us to create, several type of solutions. One of them, school management systems. And, we are backed by experts. We're talking to principals. We're talking to school directors, making sure that we understand the needs of the schools out there. We understand every school is different. We understand every school is unique. So that the need for a unique platform is out there, and we understand that. So we've created an all-in-one integrated educational platform that can be tailor-made to your school. So we have all the components, but again, it's customizable. You can edit, you can add, you can replace. That is the idea that we have. And again, our low-code technology, it just makes it easier for us to create that, and it's faster. So you don't have to wait years and years to have this school management system that's going to be created specific to your school. But instead, it's project that takes, some months for us to create, and then you're able to use. So introducing Soft as a whole. Again, it's an all-in-one educational administrative platform. It has the school management components, student information, learning management, behavior tracking, discipline, right? Communication, so you don't need external tools like Zoom or Teams. So it's everything in one. And it's going to streamline your processes. It's going to enhance that communication. It's going to improve the academic management, and you can build your own analytics from there, your own dashboards, which is something that we're going to be talking about more in depth for this webinar. And yeah, so let's talk about what is looking to the system to replace. Like I said, we want to have the student information system part, learning management, school management, communication, attendance tracking, grading as well. And once you have all this, you can again, you tailor it to your needs, and then you're going to be able to, slowly get rid of those additional eight platforms that, your teachers, your parents, and even you as a business admin have to use on a daily basis to make it work. So that is our goal. That is our mission. And with that, I'm going to introduce our speakers for today. Okay, awesome. So on the call, we have Christina, who is part of our pre-sales team. Say hi, Christina.
Hi.
Then we have Igor as well from our pre-sales team here at Soft.
Hello, everyone.
And Alisher as our guest. Alisher, if you can please introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself. And yeah, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Just briefly about myself. I'm an educator, been in education for the last 16 years. Started as a teacher, continued in an administration role as a assistant principal, and then currently I'm in a new role for myself. It's director of academics in a small charter district with close to 5,000 students here in Sunshine, Florida. And I'm working with six schools in our district, and then one of my projects that I'm working this year is to create a system that will allow us to see a lot of data in one place, be it student attendance, enrollment, assessment data, multi-tiered system of support, and so on, that we'll be able to hopefully discuss today. That's all for now.
Awesome. Thanks, Alisher. So let's dive into Soft. Let's dive into how we can help, with this kind of project, what the technology of low code can actually do. So I'm going to go to the next slide. Christina, feel free to talk about the first topics, kind of go over the um, timeline, I guess, and I'll let you share your screen after this.
All right, thank you. So first we will start off with a workflow setup possibilities, and we will see an example business process that is already set up in the system. It will be the student registration process. After that, we will shift more towards analytics. Igor will take over and first give you an introduction of Highcharts and the possibilities in general. Then he will show you how to actually set it up in two ways. One of them is using structural diagrams, and the other one is JavaScript and universal graphs. And at the last topic, we will see how to build in Highcharts into web pages.
Awesome. So I'm gonna let you share your screen and feel free to take it away.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So we will use this example to introduce the possibilities regarding business processes that the platform offers. We are using BPMN2 technology for the workflows, so the elements are probably familiar for a lot of people. But what we also want to introduce today is the additional configuration possibilities that makes it easier to customize processes or to build up new processes in the system. To check that out, we will open one user task and I will just guide you through not all, but the main configuration possibilities that I think are really important. First of all, is basically the assignment. We have different possibilities. You have the option to assign these tasks by roles, by a custom algorithm, or it should be assigned always to a specific user. We also have an option to set up the visual that will be presented for the assignee when they are executing the task. The good news is that you can reuse the different visuals, so it might reduce the time of setup. And when you are setting up these visuals, we have a very user-friendly editor where you can use basically drag and drop elements from here on the right side, attributes and many different widgets that can look really well and can be very informative or helpful. The other thing I think can be important for many people is basically a due date setup or SLA setup, which can be fixed days, fixed periods of times, or calculated one. In that case, you can be more specific and you can also add this calculation logic within the platform by an algorithm. The other tabs, maybe I would also highlight the transition conditions. This is the place where you can set up some custom conditions or validations that has an impact on how you can move forward from one task to another or which way you will take in the process. And as you can see that there are some other setup possibilities, but I think these would be the main ones that are mostly used and are really good to us in our platform. This specific workflow is created for a student registration process. Thanks to the gateways and some other inbuilt logic, we are able to accommodate all possible ways how to register students in our system. Maybe you can notice that one way would be a bulk file update. In that case, the students are already approved. This is done by the administrator, and it might be an initial upload of data to the system. But we are also handling those cases when the students are registered one by one by the administrator. In that case, we will just check whether students can have access in general to our system. In that case, the administrator will create their credentials, and also there is a possibility to directly enroll them in some courses or in some programs. The other way how we register students is a non-admin user. It usually means that the guardian has access to the system and they register their students. In that case, first we would need a verification of the student information that was entered. It is done by the business administrator, and they have the option to request some correction or some adjustments of the data from the guardians. I might have not mentioned that, but always when a task is assigned to a person, a user, no matter which user role they have, they are notified. It's based on the setup, but mostly by email or pop-up notification in the system. So I think now that we have seen the backbone of our workflow, we could see maybe a quick version of going through on this process. To do that, I will start as a guardian because I think that is the more interesting way how to go through on this process. When I'm logged in as a guardian, I have this add student option where I can add the data of my student that I want to register. Let's call her Lisa. Oh, it's the last name. So let's call her Lisa. You can see the mandatory fields that they are marked by stars, so it's really easy to follow. I don't really want to waste time on filling up data, so I will just do the mandatory ones and click on submit. We have a confirmation message just to make sure that the guardians are aware that by submitting this request, the process of registration will start. Let's say that we confirm it. And at the back, at this point, our workflow has already started. So let's go back as an administrator. I will go to my home page and see it on the Kanban board. This is our new student who we want to register. We will start with the verify new student task, as we have seen it on the workflow setup. Let's see that I will start working on this task. And now we have the option to edit this information, and we have the possible ways how to move forward from this task. As I mentioned, we can send it back for adjustments for the guardian, we can deny the registration, or we can authorize the student, in which case we will move forward with the process. Let's see that this is what we want to do and complete task. And we will have our next task already that we can open directly from here, or we can go to the all tasks and open it from there. So our next task would be to create a user for this student, because in this setup, the students have access to the system. We will pick Lisa. And we can create her credentials here. There might be some rules what kind of password we can create, but if you have some issues, the system will give you a warning, so no worries, you will know what to do. All right, and now we just select an access group, which will be student in this case, and we will save our user. And we can move forward, marking that the credentials has been created. Complete task. And we reached our last step in this process, which would be enrollment to a class or a program. For this, we offer actually a specific tool, the direct enrollment. It means that the administrator can enroll the students to specific programs and courses. But at this point, we can also check that we will not enroll the students right away. Maybe we want to leave it to the guardian, or maybe we will do it at a later point. And with that, we basically went through on all of the process. Our student becomes approved, and the guardian will be able to see it on their homepage. Maybe I will open that as well. Yeah, so now they have the second student. Okay. Igor, can I ask you to continue? I will stop my screen sharing.
Sure. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
So the second topic here will be all regarding analytics and how can we work with charts using our platform. So first of all, let's see some useful charts that we have here and see how the shapes were made. How can we build new charts? So you can see that we can create different types of shapes with 2 or 3 shapes within a single chart. We can also separate them in different tabs, and you can see that we can configure it different parameters. So let's say we want to filter here only these 2 academic years, then everything will be filtered. Scrolling down a little bit, we can work as well using the drill down function. So if we click within a chart, then it will be drilling down and filtered by those data until we get a table. We can configure that in different modes, in different shapes, in different results. Okay. For others tab, we also have implemented these parameters, more different shapes over here. You can also configure it, the hints inside of it. And yeah, we can play around with several different types of charts. Okay. So before we actually dive in deep into the creating of a new chart, I want to show you how easily it is to manage the visual. So, to edit a visual, we'll click on this edit button, and then we can switch place. We can go to a new tab and move this line Oh, this one, there is no extra line. Let's see the waivers in special. Yeah, so we can switch the rows as well. And that's how we can easily work with the visuals. And that would be the final result from our charts. Okay, this one is empty because of the academic term, but if we select them, it will be shown different chart here.
Igor, really quick, I just didn't want to interrupt you, but wanted to ask a question. So the charts that you're showing here, they're customizable. We can change based on our needs. For example, if I want to look at the assessment data, I can actually pull the assessment on one of the tabs so that it can show this assessment. And you mentioned that the chart can be built in multiple layers. Is that right? Am I understanding it correctly? So you can click on it and it's just going to expand, and then you can drill down to, let's say, I'm looking for the whole school ELA assessment, and I want to look at the specific grade level. So you are able to embed everything in one chart. Is that right?
That's right. That's the what we call the drill down function, where you can create several layers, yeah, of results, and then we can whether only display different data or filter by what you've clicked to display only those grades, for instance. So yeah, we can do that.
Got it. Thank you. I also wanted to mention that before we started project with your company, we work with a different company. It took almost a year for us to build everything, and then I was not involved in the process. Our IT team was involved because it was high code area where they just work on the CSV files, and then they just kind of create the whatever tables and write code. So I see that I can relate to this because it's less code. You showed the drag and drop, so I like that. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Yeah, the visual, it's that easily customizable. So that's the final step where we can embed the created charts into the page, the way we want to. But now we're gonna see how to actually create those charts and how to take those data from our database. And that's the technical part. Okay, so let's go into it. And as Christina told us, there are two A's to do that. The first one is the structural diagram, and then the second one will have more room to create different shapes, different charts using the JavaScript, where you can use this universal graph. So to create a new graph, we're gonna go into the dashboards. So we'll open a new instance of dashboards right over here. So for this instance, we're gonna create a chart called student by grade. I think it's a simple sample that we can build. And when we edit the visuals, we can see over here all the panels based on a source that we can build. And in this webinar, we're gonna see the structural diagram first, and then the the universal graph. Okay, so let's drag and drop the structural diagram. And before actually creating the data source, let's go through the settings. And here we can see some settings. And there are two main attributes over here, which is the column to group and column to aggregate value. That's how we're gonna build our charts based on the main column that will be grouped and its number. Okay, so I have some example here of 2 ways how we can do it. So our main goal is to create a PostgreSQL query to bring the data like this one. First column, the grade, and then the amount, which will be like a count. That's the first method. Or we can make it easier for the system, but you can do the way you prefer to, which is grouped by using the PostgreSQL. But this column to aggregate value can do it for us by grouping by this amount and taking the same name. And that's how we're gonna build our SQL query. So let's do it. We're gonna save here and create the first data source. Okay. To create the source, we're gonna click over here, data source, add source, and for this structure diagram, let's create it based on data source. We can select an existing one or create a new one from scratch. So even for this data source, we have 3 ways to create this. And in this webinar, we're gonna work with SQL-based data source. And here we will write it down our query. Okay. So I have them already pre-created here on my notes. But how can we get the values and the name of the tables? As you can see, we're bringing here the grade name as well as the count amount. Okay. But how can we know which is the table, which is the name of the attributes, and so on? Well, we have here the section administrator, object management, object type. So here is our tables in our platform. So let's say if we want to get information regarding student. So here we have the table name, and that's how we're getting this data. Okay, so for each column, each attribute here, we also have this field name for the table, where you can see that and make the inner join clauses, left join, and right join. Okay, so first of all, let's bring here the name and the amount for each student that are enrolled, with some rules here that students that are active. And yeah, you can play around with it as well. So let's save it. Now that we have it in our sources, we can add it in this structural diagram. As you can see, it was pre-filled out some attributes. And we can modify it here, the chart type, like a pie or column horizontal. That's how we can decide which shape will be. So yeah, the first result was it. We can have it. We can see it here by grade, and then the amount of student for each grade. Of course, we can make much more modifications over here, like selecting a different palette. So let's change the colors to red, and then everything will be different here. We can create a new palette and choose different color for each column. And that's how we build the structural diagram. Okay. So let's create a drill down chart based on this grade. So let's say that we want to click over here and then see the student that belongs, to this grade, 12th grade here. So we will add an extra line. And this time we're gonna create a table chart. Okay, so we'll display this student in a table. And again, if we open it, we must select a data source. But that's not the data source we want to share over here. So let's add one more data source. Let's give this a name. And then for this data source, we want to take the student first name with a space and the student last name. Okay. And the jump of the gets here, where we need to create a parameter to get the grade that we will click on, and then it will filter it to display this table. Okay, so in our where clause over here, we need to select this grade and then create this parameter. To do that, we're gonna here scroll down, go to the parameters, add a new parameter with the same name over here. And let's select the integer, which will be our value by clicking over here. It can be either integer or object. Okay, so if we select object, then we need to go to the object that will be filtered, like grade. But I think integer will be simpler. So once we do that, we can see that our data source was now able to choose what to fill in this parameter. So I will stick with the value from source field and then click save. But remember, we are now filtering using the ID of a grade. So we need to bring here in this structural diagram the ID of this grade, because here we are only taking the name of the grade. Okay, so in a nutshell, we'll add here the grade and the student ID, but of course, changing the group by section to group by the three new columns that we have here. Okay. So now let's save everything and see how it looks. So for now, we don't have much information here, but let's refresh the page and add some extra details on the drill down. Okay, we can see it here. So in the data source, sorry, in the parameters, oops, not here, it's into the structural diagram settings. We have this decryption tab. Okay, if we expand here, we'll add the description by saying, okay, we want to add this student by grade data source to be the child component from this one. Maybe I just clicked wrong. Okay, let's refresh the page again. It should be displaying this one instead of this other. Okay, let's do it one more time. All right, maybe the position. And let's go to the coding sector. Okay, we're gonna choose the grade ID to be the drill down attribute and go to this child one. It's supposed to be showing the parameter that we've created there. As you can see, I've created both data source, but I selected the first one, not the second that I created. So let's change to the table one. That's the right one. Okay. Then we're gonna save, refresh everything to make sure, okay, no data was returned, and that's what we want. Table. Okay, now our parameter is here. Also here. Now we can configure the parent dashboard. Okay, we want to click and then take in the grade ID, table, and param. Here's the attribute that will be filling in. Okay, so if we switch on this toggle, we're gonna replace the same in the same space of visual the drill down. So let's click it to be shown here, and let's see if everything works. Okay, we got some results. So if you can see it here, it's drilling down and taking only the student that belongs to the 12th grade, and the same goes to the 4th grade, and so on and so forth. Of course, we can do much more than this. We can create hyperlinks, we can create different columns, we can create different filters, rename these columns, but let's stick with it because that's our main goal, to drill down charts into another. Okay, very quickly, let's go now jump to the second way, yeah, to create this JavaScript chart. So let's leave everything here as it is, create a new column, a new attribute group, and then let's drag and drop the universal graph. Let's save everything and see what we have here. So as you can see, now we have more flexibility to get different shapes, different JavaScript sources. And for that, we need to create an algorithm that will run into our database and take this JavaScript code to bring the final results to it. Okay, so we have many ways to get those JavaScript from an outside source. So we have this Highcharts here where we can play with some, take some code over here, and then apply it into our database. And how we can get a code from here, for example, we can take this code and yeah, this is the type of data we can take from an outside source, okay? And that's the code we need, for instance, to create a new chart from JavaScript. Of course, you can generate it using GPT or taking from your source itself. And our main goal here is to use our database to replace this type of values. Okay, so we need to create a data source that will bring the right name we want to and the right values here, and mix them together to bring the code out. So let's go back to our database. Let's go again to sources. And this time we will add a new source using an algorithm. So let's add this new source. And in this algorithm here, we'll bring the universal graph for student by school. Okay, so the first thing we need to create over here, it's we need to take this JSON file, which is the JavaScript file, and we need to set what we need to replace into it. Okay, so we're gonna take an object from our database that we have specifically to store these custom charts and take its ID. But to do it, let's create this JavaScript file. So let's use the same name. And here is where we're gonna put the JS configuration. Okay, again, we have something already pre-built here, but the key part is to replace the data, which is something over here, with a word that we're gonna replace using the data source. So let's say that we're gonna replace data here, okay? And that's what I'm doing here. That field will be replaced with the school student. And we can select and take this JavaScript file. And if we want to take the JSON file from this object, let's take only this attribute, so JS configuration. And if we return this JS configuration and execute the algorithm, we can see that information here. Now let's switch this data in a way that will return the right data to our chart. So to do that, we're gonna run into a for each clause, okay, and call our object with options, sorry, query for a list. And we need to create a new data source. So let's open it and create an SQL data source. So let's give the same name as you have here, universal graph for student by school. Yeah. And again, we have our SQL query here, and we can preview it to see the final result that we'll bring here. And that's exactly what we need to take the name of school and the student, the amount of students. Okay, that's what will return into our query for a list here. So let's search for this data source we've just created. And now we're gonna run into each line, each row that's within this data source. And we're gonna first define an empty variable here. And we're gonna check if this variable is empty. And if so, now we need to switch the whole thing using this extrude tree over here. Okay, so we can take it from the var data, receive this set of data, and where is the name of our variable is where we're gonna replace to what our query is returning. So let's take the entry name of the school in additional to the double quotes, and the same goes with oops. Okay, now it should be working. And I think that's the final result. Of course, again, we can play with the palettes here, with the colors. We can switch lines. We can add a different name for these groups, like first sample, and then second sample, and embed this page in any page we want to, so it will be displayed for them. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that with the second option with the algorithm that you used with the Java, you can create basically unlimited options in terms of the charts that you want to see. You can just copy paste the code and then tailor to whatever needs you have, and then just link the data points. Yeah, so having the second option is great because then you can customize and then make like more robust visuals from what you showed that I understand, which is cool.
Yeah, that's the point. So the structure diagram, it's easier to do, but we stick with the charts type that we have here on this one. So for the universal graph, we're open, to the world. So we can create pretty much everything that we can. Of course, there are many charts that are live, that are more complex to our platform to understand it. So that might be a complexity for our platform, but it's pretty much everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very informational. I appreciate your time, guys. From what I understand, I think it's a good resource for us to keep working on the project that we have right now. Because as I mentioned in the past, we've been working with different companies, and then at the end, we were not able to stick to any of those. And then knowing that you have this customization and flexibility that we can build our dashboard that I'm currently working on. And then with some technical support that we will need in the process, where we want to create robust charts using the programming language, Java in this case. Although we have students who are learning Java at our school, it would be a cool project to give it to them so they can come up with the code. But obviously, I prefer to, in the interest of time, I prefer to work with the professionals that already learn all this stuff, and then kind of, tailor to our needs, and then having this drill down the charts where we can actually use time to analyze the data that is available once it's created once, and then we can quickly use them. And this is pretty much what we want to see on our dashboard, and then actually we're striving for and then looking forward to see at the end of the project together. Thank you.
Thank you, Alisher. Christina, Igor, thank you so much. And okay, we'll go to the next slide. Awesome. So, for early adopters, if you're out there and you want to tailor Janika software for your school, we'll do it for free. We're starting this project. We work a lot with fintech and healthcare, but now we're focusing into educational industry. We're working, like I said, with a panel of educational experts, and we are looking for guidance. We want to understand what the processes are like, so we can create this general Junigasoft school management platform. But at the same time, we're open to doing this free tailorings for specific schools, so we understand the specifics to it. So kind of like a win-win situation. We'll tailor it for you for free. You'll get a system that is going to work just the way that you need it to, and we're going to learn from that and be able to pass it on to other schools, right? At the same time, after we are done with tailoring, you get to test it out. You get to see that it's working for you. Your teachers can test it. Your students can take a look as well. They also have a voice in what works for them. So feel free to, we can actually have that freedom to let them see the platform as well, test it out. Same for parents and, of course, business administrators. After that, to implement, we're only charging right now $17 a month for business admin. So this is the people or the person that gets full access to the platform, and then $15 for teachers. For the teacher roles, we are not going to charge anything for student licenses or parents. So, I mean, you do the math, how many teachers you have in school, how many people need access to a platform. And I think, we can definitely discuss pricing as well. But I think it's such a great benefit that you could actually have a tailor-made system for your school. This way you don't have to adapt to specific system, but it's going to be the other way around. So if you want to, schedule a free consultation, talk about what, are your current needs. Again, we don't have to tailor a whole school management system, but if you have a specific solution, one example that I have is a graduation tracking system. So they didn't need the whole school management, but they said, hey, I'm doing graduation tracking. I'm using an Excel. I need a way to automate it. We created that for them. And then after that, it can be scaled up and add features as the school grows, as if there's more things that they like to do with the program. So it can be little things that are going to make your life easier to a very complex school management system. So feel free to book a consultation with me. Here's my Calendly link. Feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn. And if you'd like to see another webinar, if you have specific questions, if you like to see a specific use case for the school management, let me know and we can create another webinar for this. Absolutely for you guys. Well, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.